Loneliness is that distressing feeling of being alone or separated. It's a feeling experienced regularly by many people every day. But why is it really the case, considering we live in a world where anyone with an internet connection can connect with people from across the world? Never before in human history have we had the ability to connect with so many people in such a short amount of time. Yet, despite all that, we are one of the loneliest generation of all time. The statistics of loneliness keeps getting worse and worse each year. How is it possible that we are so connected, yet we are lonely? Social media is now one of the major ways of communication in the 21st century. Most of our communication happens through social media, which makes it crucial that we also talk about it if we want to discuss about loneliness, because social media has a lot to do with this problem. The way we interact online is fundamentally different from real-life interactions. On social media, conversations are not just between two people, but an algorithm is in between them, mediating that conversation. This algorithm plays a major role in deciding who and how we interact online. Certain little characteristics and properties of social media sites, like the algorithm, user interface, and discoverability, can affect and influence our conversation with the people we meet on those sites. It affects how we perceive and see that person. To understand this better, let's discuss about the culture industry. As I discussed in my last video, the culture industry, according to the philosophers Theodor Adorno and Max Horkheimer, works to produce mass culture to generate more profit. Art and culture for culture industry does not have some higher ideal, but it is solely based upon profit. Art and culture are mass-produced in it, with the same bleak blandness, filled with repeated cliches and unimaginative tropes. This causes the culture to become homogenized, which is more focused on maximizing profit than on creating authentic art with its imaginative power. Anything new is risky and may cause the producer or creator to lose money. So, to be certain about their success, they use strategies that appeal to the masses, are easy to understand, and do not require much interpretation. This results in a culture where spontaneity disappears and nothing new is made unless the market changes and all strategies are replaced by the new ones. Internet trends fall under this category. Whenever something goes viral, everybody starts to copy it. A song on TikTok or Instagram goes viral for a while when everybody starts to add it in their videos. You can't go anywhere without listening to those songs. It goes on for a while until a new trend replaces it. This sort of homogenization is also visible in how many creators make their content based on certain tried and tested strategies. This includes thumbnail styles, the way of speaking, editing, or even just the way titles are written, all to keep their audience engaged for as long as possible. Adorno talked about how mass culture makes their audience less critical and creates a state where they start to go with the flow. For him, mass culture functioned as a way to promote certain ideals and made their audience docile and content. He criticized movies for such homogenization. Movies make you forget that it is the perspective of the camera from which you are experiencing the world of that movie. We forget that we can only experience what the camera feeds us. As Walter Benjamin pointed out in his essay, The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction, a stage actor performs in front of an audience where we can see them acting. Though we can get immersed in that performance, we are still aware that they are acting. But in films, every scene can be cut and edited, and actors are not performing in front of the audience but in the front of the camera. It is only through that we get to experience that film. In this way, the camera comes in between the audience and the actors. This is the kind of depersonalization that Adorno was worried about. This means that we forget that we are experiencing a cultural product with its own ideals and biases. Now, social media goes even further than this. Movies put one layer of the camera between us and the reality, but social media is twice removed from that reality. It is not just the camera now, but also the algorithm that comes in between. When we scroll, we lose control over what we watch and engage with. The algorithm chooses what sort of content we are to be presented with. It pushes forward the content that will keep us engaged for as long as possible. For that, it may even start showing us content that is controversial but gets more attention because of its high engagement. Or it may push content that fulfills some inherent desire of ours. For example, accounts run by attractive people get promoted much more often than other accounts because they have the potential to bring in more views. Social media exploit these various desires. Content created by women who are considered to be attractive often get much more views due to the large number of male audience it is pushed towards. This points out the problem of the gaze in the media. As the art critic John Berger discussed in Ways of Seeing, he notes how European paintings' portrayal of women can tell us about what the gaze is, who is gazing and who is gazed upon, and how this gaze affects how we see the reality. Creators and influencers on social media know that they are being gazed upon by their audience, and so they present themselves in such a way as not to show off their genuine selves, but a fabricated image which is desired by their audience. This influences how we see and experience our own real world. Success on social media, for example, is not just about the quality of content, but also how viral it gets. You may post some really good and knowledgeable content, but if you're not following the trend and the style or gaining much views, you may not survive long on this platform. Now, this is of course not to say that there is no educational content on the internet, but most of the educators have to constantly evolve and strategize their content to appease an audience whose attention span is less than 10 seconds. Now, as much as algorithm affects us on an individual level, there's also a far greater effect it has on society as a whole. Philosopher Guy Debord points out that in our modern society, social relations have come to be mediated through images, or what he calls the spectacle. Spectacle, he says, is a vast accumulation of images that have come to dominate us. What he meant by is that between us and reality, there is a spectacle through which we experience everything around us. Social media is one of these spectacles. We don't experience the world as it is through our objective lens, but our perspective is mediated through the content we consume on the internet. It presents itself as something more than real, can only be understood through it. It does this through our separation from the real world. We don't know or feel the reality. The spectacle tells us how and what we have to experience. It mends our desire accordingly and gives us the illusion that we are in power and deciding what we need and want. This sort of domination of images can be understood through Instagram, where people share and tell about their lives through images. Your likes, dislikes, belief, interests are presented through images. How we appear and present ourselves is mediated through these images. You can also see this phenomena in advertisements. Most of the advertisements nowadays do not tell much about what their product actually does, but rather they show you the kind of person that uses their product. This gives you an illusion that buying these products will make you that sort of person, and others will recognize you as such. And due to our obsession with appearing, we buy these things in hope that we will fit in with the group. How we appear says more about us now than anything we do or have. As long as you appear to be happy and successful on the internet, you will be perceived as happy Doesn't matter what goes on behind the camera as long as you keep up with the act. This obsession with having the perfect images is reflected in how many tourist destinations have been stormed by people trying to capture the most aesthetic picture of themselves. You can go anywhere, whether it's a cafe, library, bookstore, any historical site, or even just a park, and you will find people taking photos and making videos. Many places even had to put restrictions on tourists because of this. Each moment of our life has been, in some way or other, filled with these images. How happy someone is in their life, how much they love their partner, friends, pets. It's all reflected through images. Everything is mediated through images. What one is not really of interest, but how they appear and the image they want the world to see matters. This causes us to have a distorted image of people online. If you have ever been in an online relationship of any kind, you know how different it feels from the relationships in real life. In real life, relationships are tough because you're dealing with a real human being who has their flaws, and you both have to come to an understanding with each other. On the internet, however, we are removed from this sort of engagement with the person we are talking to. Rather, our relationship is made upon the set of images we build for ourselves. We create unrealistic expectations from people around us because the algorithm has fed us only the type of things we want to hear and are comforted with. The idea that other person is different and can have a completely different set of beliefs and ideas becomes strange for us. We are confined to our little chambers from which we become unable to escape and explore other ideas. We, in a sense, become little narcissists who can only hear what they want to hear. Most of the relationships online have this feeling of a transactory nature to them. Parasocial relationships also work similarly. Many streaming services give us the illusion that we are in some way or another connected to that person on the other side of the screen. But in reality, they don't know anything about you. All they can see is you as one of the many subscribers they have. This does not mean that streamers are bad or anything, but this is how these sorts of relationship works. There's a disconnection between the audience and the creator. The communication that takes place is mediated through a spectacle which only shows a simple, one-sided image of that person. People get the illusion that the influencers they follow have a relationship with them, which is of course not true. They're not showing you what they are. Nobody does. How can anyone portray themselves to the entire world? They only show you a curated image of themselves. Behind every video, there's a ton of work done, from editing to scripting, sometimes involving many people. Each cut is carefully made to keep the act going. Content creators create a persona of themselves, which their audience finds desirable. This persona is the manufactured product here, and the audience is its consumers. What we believe to be in connection is just another view count for someone else. This is made worse by the ability of social media sites to have some kind of brief moments of interactions with their favorite creators. This results in an illusion of social interaction. The void created by loneliness is thought to be fulfilled by these pseudo-interactions. This is also what Guy Debord points out. The spectacle distances us from understanding how the things we consume are actually made behind the scenes. We are removed from knowing how things we consume are produced. Instead, only the end product is made available to us. All this not only hurts the consumer, but also the influencer themselves. Because they have to play this role, they are reduced to a life of constant viewership, where each moment they make, each word they speak outside must be according to their online persona. A single mistake can destroy their entire career. That's why many celebrities and content creators complain about being objected, because in reality they are. The majority of their lives turns into an object which others consume through gazing. Now, this seems like a lot. And what are we to do in this situation? The answer to this problem is obviously not straightforward. At an individual level, you can try using social media less. Even small changes can make a big difference in your life at least. But this is not the kind of answer I think either you or I were hoping for because of how removed this answer is from the reality. You may change some things about yourself, but what about the things that you can't control? But at least some awareness towards this problem will lead to some steps towards improvement.